Hi guys, welcome to Dancing for Architecture,
What's
where
poppin'?
we and I have a new crispy mic, so this is gonna be sick.
Crispy boy.
Crispy. All right, boys. So, do you want to tell them what album we're discussing today, Malachi?
We're looking at a pretty awesome album. It is Abbey
Classic.
Road by the
Abbey Road.
Beatles. Like, bro, I know you've seen this is like this is like the Pink Floyd album. Like, I know you've seen the cover. I don't know if you listened to the album, but you've definitely seen the cover.
Yeah, you've definitely seen the cover. It's the one with the four dudes.
Yes,
The four
walking.
dudes walking across the street. Me and the boys at New at frick. Me and the boys at New York City walking across the street. Sure, why not?
Indeed.
Yeah. But yeah, this album is one that I'm very excited for. I've haven't really listened to a lot of Beatles albums up until very recently. I just mostly listened to the stuff I'd heard on the radio. And this was the first one I decided to listen all the way through. And boy, is this an album.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very solid. I mean, I made I would say mistake, but I was blessed by accidentally listening to the deluxe version. And I'm like, wow, this album's
Mm.
really long. And I just realized, wait, I'm on the deluxe. So I got to hear all the takes, the demos, and a lot of the cool insights for the album. So that was cool.
Yes, but before we jump into it, let's talk about our link of the day. Do you want to
Yes.
tell them about our link of the day, Malachi?
So this link of the day, it's very interesting. It's kind of nostalgic, but it's also it's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it takes a couple it takes a melodic idea and combines it with a harmonic idea in a way you wouldn't think of, and it just kind of hits. Yeah,
That
that's how I'm
is
gonna put it. So go watch that real quick, and then come back here, and then now we can jump right into it. So, what was your overall impressions of the album? What do you think it did well? What stuck out to you? All that good jazz.
so the album has amazing melody writing. It has amazing harmonies. Like sheesh, those harmonies are
Yeah, those
sick,
are
especially on
juicy.
because and
Woo.
yeah, the because just hit me like, oh shoot. But yeah, the lyric writing is also really well done. I mean, it's Paul McCartney on here and John
Yeah.
Lennon, and but yeah,
Yeah, no, I definitely everything you said. Some of the most satisfying melodies, some of the stuff that gets the most stuck in my head out of a lot of music I've listened to. And something that I listened to, so I've listened to this album several times in preparation for this podcast. Like before when we started the podcast was around the time I first listened to this album all the way through. And on that listen through, I was just like, okay, these are some satisfying melodies. These are just songs I know. But then on this listen specifically, noticing Paul McCartney's bass playing and just a lot of the intricacies of it and just how unique it is was something that really stuck out to me on this last listen through
ooh,
of the
he's
album.
on
And I
the
have a couple
bass.
specific spots. Yeah, it's some juicy stuff, bro.
It's sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should hop right in to come together.
All right, yeah, the opening track of the album. I never really pictured this as an opener for an album. It always sort of struck me as like a I don't know, like a mid album track, but it's the opener and it's a good track. Like, yeah, I mean, it's Paul McCartney. I think Paul McCartney did the writing on this one, unless it was like George Harrison or something weird like that.
Hmm.
But the drum parts on this album, or not this album, the drum parts on this song are something I really want to point out, and how just unconventional it is. Like you never get the typical like kind of thing on this track. It's always like cool like tom fills or just like four on the floor tom like kind of type beat, and it's just like I don't know, it just makes the track hold together a lot better, because if it was just something standard it wouldn't really feel the same.
Right, and, it has this iconic this clap, the it's basically a clap, but with, like, triplet delay on it, so it's like boom, boom, and then you hear that
Yeah,
and it just adds a really cool, aesthetic to it.
yeah.
Also, this album has a really wide stereo field, which means just like, um, your headphones, the right and left channels, it's super
Oh wait,
wide.
no, hang on. I lied. There's a different thing that needs to be the link of the day for this album. You're getting
Okay.
two links. We're getting two links today, boys. I'm gonna send it over to Malachi. Hopefully, he's seen this before. If he hasn't, I'm going to be very disappointed in him, and he will get to
Okay,
just
let's
watch
see.
this.
Let's see.
I sure hope that you've seen this, because if you haven't, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. Have you seen
Bro,
this?
yes.
You've
This
seen
I've
this?
seen this,
Yeah.
bro. I've seen
I
this.
can't believe I didn't think of this as the link of the day before. But this definitely needs to be the link of the day. But yeah, no. This album definitely has a very stereo feel to it. Like you get a lot of stuff going on in different places. It's the Beatles are the only real group that I've heard do it to this degree. Like I mean you obviously have the iconic Bohemian Rhapsody voices in the two ears, but the Beatles consistently do it across their albums where you'll hear a guitar mostly in one ear and then like the drums in the back or like whatever. And it's really interesting. It makes for a very different experience than just a lot of albums that come out today that I've listened to.
Yeah, normally today, people don't really hard pan as much today. They usually just like pan halfway. You could hear it a little on both sides, but here it's literally like I only hear the guitar on the right and I only hear the organ on the left, like stuff like that. So it's definitely adds a vibe to it. Rip to the
Yeah.
people that only have mono headphones or like one.
or only have like one of their headphones is broken and they're just like, I don't get what's up with these Beatles guys that everyone likes. Why do people like this? This is so avant-garde. Like I feel pain for those people. But
Yeah.
yeah. Let's go on to something. Unless you had anything else to say about Come Together before we moved on.
Nope, that was it.
Yeah, just a solid opener to the album as a whole. A sign of what's more to come, and then something. Oh, I love this track. This track is like, yeah, like one of the most iconic Beatles tracks out there. Like when you ask people what Beatles song they're thinking of, this is probably up like fourth or fifth on the list of any given person's list of like top five most iconic Beatles tracks.
Yeah, and this progression, I really love this progression. It's always like my go-to, but it's like this major 7, 7 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it just has this descending like um walk down like bass line cuz it's like dun 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 dun
Yeah, I
and
love
it's
that.
like kind of like it just always has an emotional feel. Every song that you hear that has this has that emotional feel. What is it? Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. Frank Valley, I think he uses this, and it's like the Can't Take My Eyes Off the dun, dun, and it has that emotional vibe. So I really like that, and also the motif that dun, 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 dun,
It's
dun,
so
like
iconic.
it's so iconic, and it's like this triumphant, like and there's like the key switch in there that like from that motif into
Mhm.
the little bridge section. But yeah,
You're asking me where my love goes.
very
I
interesting
don't know.
harmonically.
Oh, I love that. That is one of the coolest, I don't know, like I guess it's a bridge, maybe it's a chorus, I don't know. Like I really like the way that that sounds. And I love the drums on that part as well, where it's just like you kind of get this again these unconventional drum parts where you just kind of get these like tom things going on. Also, fun fact about this song,
Okay.
Frank Sinatra cited this as his favorite pop song, like ever.
Oh shoot.
And he covered it, and a lot of Beatles fans hate his cover, but it's pretty well received outside of like the diehard Beatles fans, as far as I understand. But yeah, also the guitar solo on this thing, really cool. It's like
Yeah.
one of those. It's one of those singable guitar solos where it's just like super duper low key, but it's like there's so much emotion in it and like so much dynamic use, and it's just really cool. And I just really enjoy it. And yeah, I, I mean, I
Yeah.
just kind of like guitar solos. So yeah,
Yeah, this is just a solid ballad, like solid pop song. But I want to move on to this really weird track, Maxwell's Silver Hammer, bro. So I
this
was
might be my favorite track on the album. No
it's
cap,
so
like
weird, bro. Like I was doing the dishes when I first heard this, and it came on. I'm like, yo, what? Who is Maxwell? And he's just like whacking
he's
people, bro.
he's just like bap bap
Yeah,
bap.
bang,
I'm gonna
bang. And I
knock you
like the
out.
anvil. It's like a good touch.
Yeah, yeah,
Dun,
no.
dun.
So another fun fact: this is the first track on the album that I hadn't heard before. When I first listened through this album, this was the first track that I hadn't heard. So I was like, this is interesting. And when I'm going into an album, or when I used to go into albums, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be excited for the tracks that I know. And then this one just caught me completely off guard, where I was just like, yo, what is this song? Who is this gangster Maxwell?
Right. And it's just like he's stuck. I don't even remember the details. I was just like, this is so random. And I even did research like what was going on. And they literally basically were like, oh yeah, it just was yeah, we just did that. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's literally just a song about a dude murking kids. Like he's like, "Yo, I invite this chick on a date, and then bap, she's dead.
or like,
And then my
what was the
teacher
other
gives
one?
me a
Yeah, the
bad grade,
teacher.
and bap, he's dead.
Oh, you
And
try to
then
make me write chalk on the wall? Pfft, dead. I'm like,
and
bro.
then he freaking murks the judge in his murder trial. I'm just like, how much power does this man have? He's too dangerous to be kept alive.
Bang, bang. But plot twist. I mean, it just says Maxwell's silver hammer came down. That doesn't mean Maxwell actually did it, Like maybe he got framed.
Or maybe he's just a really powerful man who has lackeys, and the name of his like group of lackeys is the Silver Hammer or whatever.
Bro.
Yo, that would be tight and metal as heck.
Bro, that would be something they would do. Do something so obscure, like that no one would get, but just like.
Yeah, but this is just a solid track. Like it's just one of those tracks that just gets stuck in your head, where it's just like I'll just be like chilling, doing whatever, and I'm just like bang bang Maxwell Silver Hammer.
Yeah,
Came
it gives
down.
me like like an old folk tale vibe. Like you're telling an old like tale or a children's story. Not children's, because you probably don't want to
Yeah,
say that to your kids, but
yeah.
yeah.
It's just like it almost gives "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" vibes, where that's just not what you expect when you
Yeah.
like when you just get to the chorus and it's just like some kid getting murked, and you're just like, oh, that's not what I expected at all.
Yeah.
It's so great. I just love the utter, I don't know, the audacity to put this on an album. Like it's like the Beatles could have very easily have not put this on this album,
And
and
in
it
the
wouldn't
first
have
half
really
too.
been worse. Yeah, in the first half too. Like yeah. And then, but yeah, let's move on to the next track. This is another one in a strong contention for my favorites on the album. Oh, Darling.
Bro, I'm just a sucker for 6-8 in general. Like I don't know what it is, but any 6-8 song is just, well, not any, but like 6-8 just has my heart, bro.
Yeah, no. And then it's like got that kind of doo-wop progression.
Right.
And then so I watched a dude kind of going over all the Beatles albums, and he called this song the most Beatles sounding song they ever recorded. And I hard agree with that. Like, that is just one of this song. If you want to show someone, like, if someone's never heard of the Beatles, like, this song kind of encapsulates their sound very well.
Right.
It's so good.
And we get, bro, so when he goes, I where you turn, like that gritty,
Yeah.
like when Paul goes into that just gritty,
Yeah.
like vocal, I'm just like, bro, I thought it was a different person.
Yeah, no, these are some of the greatest. I think that this is probably the best vocal performance on the album, because like there's really not much going on lyrically in variants, but all of it is in his all of it is in his delivery, where it's like you get this emotional feeling of desperation of like, don't leave me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
bro.
freaking die if
He
you
just
go
hit that.
away.
You don't need me anymore. I was like, yo.
I wrote down a note of drums. I'm trying to remember what the drums for this. Oh yeah, at the end of the chorus, the little fill that Ringo does, or something like that. I don't know. Like it's a really tasty fill, and I'm just like, it just makes my ears happy. Do you know what the fill I'm talking about?
I don't think so. Don't do the good. Don't do good. I might actually. I don't
Yeah,
remember it.
but it's like the thing that I really like about it is little tip, like, so I used to play a lot of drums, and one thing that this solo does really cool is like it's very easy when you're a drummer to just do subdivisions of the quarter note or the eighth note in this situation, um in just kind of evenly spaced as your fill, where it's just like in 6/8 like kind of
Right.
thing. But he waits so long before you get to the equal divisions part in his fill. Like he holds off on it so long, and then when you finally get it, it's just kind of at the end of the bar at the end of the fill, and it's just so nice because you finally get that payoff of just kind of this evenness back into the crash cymbal or whatever, back into the next verse. But it's just such a cool fill because it's so irregular up until you get to that kind of release. It's just so sick. Like I
Yeah,
just
I'll
love
have to
it.
go back because I don't know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
it it sounds cool.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just a vibe of a track though. Like I think that this might be the certified thick groove unless you had a different one picked. And then we might have to take to like a poll or something and like make
hmm,
people decide what the certified thick groove of
it
this
may
album is.
be, but when we go through, maybe I'll change my mind. But for now, I think so. It's safe to say.
Yeah, so I had a couple others that I was thinking maybe, but this I think is my pick. But yeah, let's go on to the next track. This is the Ringo track of the album, where I feel like they just kind of give Ringo one to sing every album. Like I think they just kind of do that. Um, and this is that song. It's not a bad song by any means. Like I think Ringo was probably the weakest vocalist out of the four of them, but yeah, I don't know. I just really like this song. It's just kind of whimsical, goofy. It's like a kid's song. It's like I think if I remember correctly, there was like a story I heard that Ringo is like the Beatle that was the most popular with like the kids, and so
Mm.
Paul was like, let me write you a kid song, and so he wrote him this song to sing, and it just I don't know, like it's just so whimsical. Like why can't we have kids music like this nowadays?
Right, and even before I knew the background or anything, I was like, "Wow, this sounds like some Schoolhouse Rock type stuff, like
That's what I'm
some kid."
saying. It's
Uh,
just yeah. So one thing that I really like is the choice of piano for this track, where they use that kind of like honky tonk kind of out of tune piano, and you just get kind of these tonka tonka kind of stuff over the top, and it's just I don't know. It adds so much to the atmosphere of this track, where it's just like you would have had me sold it on it before you added that, but it just adds so much more to the character of it, and it really sells the almost little tiny world that's being built just with the soundscape of this track. I think the soundscape on this track is just really well designed as a whole.
yeah, I mean, I would talk about the narrative of this and just Octopus Garden, but honestly, I I don't even know, bro. Like,
It's just an octopus's garden in the shade.
he's just vibing in underwater, bro. And
He
even
just
there was like a cartoon music video thing for this, and I was just looking at it. It had the old like 60s vibe cartoons. So I was like, yo,
that's
this
an
was probably
aesthetic, bro.
nice back
Yeah,
then.
I just kind of I'm just like, why don't we get more kids music? Like, why can't Kanye make a kids song and it not be cringe? You know, like why can't we get the popular artists of nowadays to put out kids content? Like the only example that I can think of in recent memory at all is there's a My Chemical Romance Christmas video with Yo Gabba Gabba, which is just kind of totally out of left field for them. But like that's like the closest thing I can think of. I don't know if you can think of any other examples of nowadays stuff like
Mm,
that.
I don't think yeah, like artists, like popular artists, I don't see them do that often.
I guess when they go on Sesame Street or whatever, but like
Does Old Town Road count? No, it doesn't.
Old Town Road definitely doesn't count. That has some sketchy lyrics, man. But yes, next track. This is a track I'm excited for.
I want you so bad. This song only has 13 words, but it's like it's such a vibe. Like the heavy blues is just like you
Yeah,
know?
so this feels like a candidate for a Bond track, like a James Bond movie. Like if you were to like put this at the beginning of the movie. The only thing is that it's like 7 minutes long, but it just kind of like it kind of grooves like that. And I really want to highlight the build throughout this track where it's just like you get this really cool like so the first time through everything is super duper sparse, and you get just kind of sporadic bass notes here and there, sporadic drums. And then the second time through, I guess the verse section or the A section, since it only has an A and a B section, you get more of a groove. And then every time through, you just get more added to the soundscape. And it's just so cool because this track would be so boring if you didn't have that. Since it's, like you said, it's only 13 words throughout the entirety of the song. But it is made by this sense of build and this motion that it has, and it just progressively getting louder to this absolutely chaotic finish.
Yeah, and oh yeah, definitely chaotic. It's just white noise building up. But something interesting about the process of making this was I think John wasn't satisfied with like any of the takes. They did like 35 and they had to just chop up stuff. And while I was listening to the deluxe, I heard there was like a little cut on one of the takes where one of the neighbors was like saying they were playing too loud or something. And they were just like, they were just like, you're in the wrong neighborhood. And they're like British accent and all this and da da da. I was like, bro, we get some authentic Beatles dialogue. It was hilarious,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. So I just also want to highlight how weird this track is. Like, this doesn't compare to Revolution number 9 on the White Album, but like still, imagine if, I don't know, like Drake put a song like this on one of his albums. Like it just doesn't happen where you get these like 7 minute songs that have like 13 words in total, an A and a B part, and then you just get this 2.5 minutes of build where it just keeps adding more and more white noise. Like, you don't get that kind of stuff nowadays.
I mean,
And this is like the standard pop album.
that's
Like,
true.
it's crazy, bro.
I mean, if Drake dropped that, it would be some heat. You know, he just said, yeah, yeah, wait, yeah, bro, I would bump.
And then like it's just like his yeahs and waits just become more and more distorted. Like, it's just like, yeah, wait. It's just like freaking just so over the top. But I think a lot of what makes this track work in the context of the album is the following track, which I would like to get into right now. Here Comes the Sun.
Yup. Isn't this the start of side B or?
No, the start of side B, I believe, is You Never Give Me Your Money.
Okay.
And we'll get into that when we get there, because that's the entire B side of this album is really interesting. But Here Comes the Sun, I love the transition between this kind of abrupt stop of I Want You So Bad, where it's just this white noise building, an abrupt stop, not even at the end of a measure, just kind of in the middle, just kind of like a stop. And then you get this really bright guitar, capoed up 7 if you were to play it on your guitar. So that's just like ridiculously bright sounding, just like really high up there. And it's just like a really, really cool contrast where you get this desperation, negativity, almost depressed nature of the track before it. And then you get this super happy, optimistic track right after.
Right. Yeah, Here Comes the Sun is definitely a super bright song considering the really dark themes and just vibes on the album.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of something crazy hit me 2 years ago when my nephew was like, well, I was singing that song because Here Comes the Sun, that's like iconic Beatles. And he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's the song from the Bee Movie." I'm like, "What did you just say to me?"
I mean, it is. It is
It
from the Bee
is.
Movie.
But like
Like,
I was like, "Yo." But another cool fact about this is George Harrison, producer dude on this album, he made kind of a parallel song to this called Here Comes the Moon, and it goes hard, bro. Like,
I have
it's
not
like
heard that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just stumbling around while listening, and I was like, "Yo, this goes hard." It's like, "Here comes the moon, the moon, na, 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 na." Like, it's pretty good. You should check it out.
Yeah. Also,
But
fun fact, George Harrison is the guitarist, not the producer.
oh, for real? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, George Harrison is the guitarist. I think that there's the dude who did the production. His name might have also. Actually, no, I couldn't tell you. But there was a dude who did their production for like all of their albums up like past a certain point, and he was basically the quote unquote fifth Beatle. Um, but you
Interesting.
can look that up. I can't tell you more about that because I just don't know. But yeah, no, I really like on this track the harmonies. They're just kind of like really nice. It's like simple stuff, but it's just like stuff that just makes my ears happy, you know? It's just like a nice little like lollipop or whatever. It's just like it ain't much, but it's like really adds a lot to it.
Right. Yeah, it's just a bright track. But because this one, like, it hits. Like, I got some heavy, just ethereal vibes, bro. No drum. Well, were there drums? I don't think so.
No, no
But
drums on this track. I thought you were gonna say no drugs. And I was
no,
gonna be like, I certainly hope not.
bro. They probably, you
I
know,
mean, they were on drugs, but you don't have to be on drugs to enjoy this track, kids. That's our
bro.
PSA of the
But
day.
the harmonies are so sick. But before I get into that, the making of this track, apparently Yoko Ono, who I think was John Lennon's partner, um, was playing Moonlight Sonata, right? And then John Lennon was like, "Yo, can you play that backwards?" Which I'm like, "What?" But she plays it backwards, and then he makes the song because based off of backwards Moonlight Sonata. So I'm like, "What?" And I kind of hear it a little bit. You hear like the classical
Yeah.
vibe of it. So that
Yeah.
was interesting.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. It makes total sense considering this phase that the Beatles were in. This was at the very end of their career, so this was when they were pulling out all the stops, doing all the weirdest stuff. And this is what I consider to be their last proper studio album because the album after this, Let It Be, is just pieces from a project that never was finished. But
Mm.
yeah, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. What I really like one little thing that makes me very happy, is the little melodic lines over the top in like the top tenor part, where you get like these or whatever. Like you get these like really cool moving stuff where you have these really like steady harmonies, and then you get these little melodic lines over the top. Reminds me of barbershop stuff.
Yeah, I definitely got the like a barbershop quartet type vibe.
But yeah,
But
that's the end of side one.
eesh, yeah, that side one was good, but side two, like it
Mm.
it threw me for a loop because I didn't know it was like a medley, and I thought it was just all one song, and I was like, "Wait, it's a new song?" And there was like 1 minute songs in there, but apparently, "You Never Give Me Your Money" all the way down to "She Came In Through the Bathroom" is a like a 16-minute medley, and the reason I know is because on the deluxe, it's all like as one song. So
Interesting.
I was like,
Yeah.
"Bro."
Yeah, the medley is really, really cool. And what I really like about this is like even between She Came In Through the Bathroom Window and Golden Slumbers, even though there's a break, it doesn't feel like a super abrupt difference between tracks. where you can still kind of consider all of the B-side as one collective track. And I think it adds a lot to the coherency of this album, where you get like the first half of the album that's just like all of these like single ready songs that you might hear on the radio or whatever. And then you get the back half that it's just like, okay, we're going to do progressive rock or whatever before progressive rock exists. Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
and I really just like the hook, just like you never give me your money, and then the
yeah.
harmonizations. What in the world? I can't English, but yeah, it's just a vibe, and I really like the circle of circle of fifths movement. It always has like a nice. I don't know how to describe it. It's one of those things that just musically you feel, but don't really know how to
Yeah.
describe.
Is that on like the second part of You Never Give Me Your Money? When it picks up with the drums and everything?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think utilizing just kind of going around the circle of fifths just continually is really cool, and like not enough stuff does that. Where like occasionally you'll get it where you go from the dominant of the dominant of the dominant to the dominant of the dominant to the dominant to like the root for like seven chords, just to
Yeah.
kind of be dumb and goofy, but this
This
is
album
really good
has
use of that.
Yeah, the album has a lot of dominance because of the blues influence.
Yeah.
Sheesh, I cannot speak. But yeah, because of the blues influences are a lot of dominance.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But I love the way that this just starts it out really slow. I like how it just starts out super piano centric, and then you get like kind of these guitar licks over top and these bass licks underneath it. And I really like the open harmonies kind of existing in the later sections, and it really feels like it ties it back to the last track, because even though because is on the first side, like you still kind of feel this continuation of themes into the second half of the record, and that's really cool. It has some cool guitar parts too, but let's jump into Sun King, which has some really cool harmonies.
Bro, this was funny to me because they said, "Here comes the Sun King." And I was like, "Bro, that's hilarious."
Yeah, I love the vibe before they start singing, where it's just kind of like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm just relaxing. I feel like I have a nice drink in my hand. I'm just chilling. Like I don't know, like I could have my sunglasses on. I could be laying down on the beach or something. It's just a vibe, you know.
For sure.
And then you get this weird Spanish section, and from what I looked up,
It
it's
wasn't
like
even cohesive language.
I think it's like Spanglish, kind of, where you get like these bits of, yeah, this is coherent Spanish. And then you get these bits where it's like, I don't know what the frick they're talking about.
Bro,
It's just
apparently
so weird.
they just they threw in some Spanish, they had some, like, Portuguese in there and Italian, and then they had, like, random phrases that they say in Liverpool or something, and just
That's
mixed
so
it in.
funny.
I was like, "Bro, they were just geeking and in the studio, just like, yo, let's throw in that."
Yeah, they're just like, let's throw it all together. Really, really an interesting track overall. But I like the way that this leads into Mean Mustard. It's really nice because like when I just kind of listened through the album, I kind of considered the medley starting like here, right here, and I had to look up where the front half and the back half of the album were, because I was like, it could be anywhere as early as Here Comes the Sun and anywhere as late as like You Never Give Me Your Money, but like I kind of felt this as the sort of big beginning to the medley that kind of goes on for the next four tracks.
Right, and I really couldn't distinguish between Mean Mustard and Mean Mr. Mustard, Sun King, Polythene Pam, and all that. So I just
Mhm.
kind of thought of it as one vibe.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
yeah,
yeah,
Mean Mr. Mustard. Mean Mr. Mustard. Yo, this is the dude who would yell at me to get off his lawn, even though it wasn't his lawn. Like, that's the vibe I get from him. It's just like, he'd be like, hey, you, Shunny, get off my lawn.
get off his lawn.
Yeah. And it's just like the longer I listen to the lyrics, the more weird it seems. It's just like this homeless dude or something who has a sister who will occasionally pick pick him up to take him to see the queen or something, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah, I feel like they got on just the obscure songwriting stuff during this medley. I'm just like, what is happening? Especially Polythene Pam.
Yeah,
Um,
that song's weird.
yeah, and apparently this Polythene Pam thing was based off of someone that used to go to their shows and stuff that used to literally eat the plastic polyethylene or something,
Mhm.
but in Britain they call it polythene. But she literally used to tie them in knots and eat them, and I'm
That
like,
reminds me of My Strange Addiction, where it's like, I like to eat plastic bags. Wait.
yeah. So I was like, okay. I mean,
Yeah,
they're the
it's
Beatles. They have stories like that.
yeah, it's I mean it's the Beatles. Like, yeah, like they just kind of do whatever. And I really like the guitar solo into the build, and then you get this really cool build into the drop into She Came In Through the Bathroom Window. One of the coolest moments of the album. That drop where it's just like, hold on, she came in through the bathroom window, and then just kind of gets going with that groove. This was my other pick from Might Be Certified Thicc. This was my other pick, is this track right here.
Yeah, I really liked She Came In Through the Bathroom Window. Another weird story about the Beatles lifestyle is literally a fan entered Paul's house through the bathroom window. Like, I'm like, it makes sense. It makes sense.
It makes sense. They were the first boy band. No one knew what they were doing with boy bands yet. She just kind of pulled up and she's like, yo, what's up? And he's like, ah,
But like,
or
what she think
whatever.
she would do when she got inside though?
Yeah. It is it but yeah, this track just kind of grooves hard, but at the same time it has these really open guitar parts over the top that just makes for this odd but really cool combination of sounds where it's like usually when you get tracks that feel like they groove really hard, it's like all the guitar parts are really tight and staccato, but this has these like really legato parts over the top that just kind of make it this really interesting atmosphere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of closes out like the first medley, and then we get to Golden Slumbers. I really like this track.
Yeah, we get gritty Paul McCartney again, which was tough. And we also get the Circle of Fifths movement again, which gives
Yeah,
that amazing vibe.
yeah, I love the just kind of melodies on this where it's just kind of I don't know. It's like I know it's literally like a lullaby, but I'm just like it's just such a good lullaby where it's just like you get these like really nice lines over the top, and then you get these kind of like sort of paused stuff that you feel like I don't know, like it's just it feels really natural, and I just love it for that. Where it's just like I could see myself singing this to my kid in 10, 15 years, however long it is,
Yeah,
when
I
I have kids or
actually
whatever.
oh, and those strings are just so majestic. Like, and also
I
I
can't
heard,
believe we haven't touched on the strings of these albums.
yeah,
The
the
strings on this album
strings.
are so good.
I'm just like floating in space when I had headphones on. I'm like, bro, it's crazy. But I first heard this song on the movie Sing, with all the animals that sing and
Ah,
everything.
yeah. Wait, this
Yeah.
was on that movie?
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson actually did a cover for it, and she's like a powerhouse vocalist, so she like destroyed that song. Like it was
Hmm.
insane. She did like this and Carry That Weight, like it was
Yeah.
together. So
I
it
mean,
was
as
really
you
dope.
should. Like, these two songs go together. Yeah. But yeah, next track, or continuation of this track, Carry That Weight. I really like that it ties back into You Never Give Me Your Money with the same melody.
Mhm.
And it's just like, you get kind of a continuation, continuing to tie this together as a very coherent back half.
Right, and then we get that Carry That Weight.
Yeah, it's so good. And then you get to the end, not the end of the album, but the song The End, which happens to be the second to last track besides the bonus track or whatever. Um and I really like this because it feels like the end of a concert when the band is just kind of jamming before they like take their final bow or whatever. I could just see them closing out concerts with this track, and yo, that's so cool.
And was so fact check, was this their last album as a group, all four of them?
Kind of. So Let It Be is the album after this, but it is pieces of another project that they were working on, but they split up before they could finish. So Let It Be
Ah,
is more the pieces of another project than its own coherent album that was designed to be exactly like it is. So
okay.
I consider this to be their last proper studio album.
Yeah, I heard because I was looking at research and it was saying like this was the end because it was the last song. Well, it was not really because Her Majesty, but last song on their last album with all four of them working. So yeah.
Yeah. I think Let It Be was fragmented bits that they each worked on individually or something. I don't know. Like Let It Be was a really weird album.
Oh,
But
and
yeah.
about this track, we get like tag team guitar solos from John and Paul, like back and forth. I think so,
Mhm. Yeah.
but it's super sick, and you can see their styles different.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that was really dope. And we also get that triumphant Mario cadence at the end of the song. Feels like
Ah,
a
yes.
nice
Yes,
ending.
we love the Mario cadence on this podcast. Is this the first time we've mentioned it on the podcast? Because I know we've talked about it before between the two
No,
of us.
it was on, if I can remember correctly, it was on the Pink. It was on Song for America.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it
Yeah,
was. Yeah,
but that
but
Mario cadence, bro.
I love the bass. I love the bass. No, not the bass part. I love the drum solo part where it's just kind of like this kind of like really simple drum solo, but cool nonetheless. And then you get the dueling solos between John and George, and it's just so sick.
Oh, it was
And
John and
then
George. Okay.
yeah, Paul was the bassist.
Oh, okay.
Paul
Interesting.
McCartney is one of my favorite bassists. I don't know. Like I love the way that I especially the stuff on this album. There's some really cool stuff. And according to one of my friends, the reason that the Beatles bass line sounds so unique is Paul was playing the bass like a guitar. So like his approach to it was similar to like lead guitar. And I'm like, that's really interesting. But it led to some really cool stuff. And yeah, this was
Yeah,
kind
and
of off track, but yeah.
that that kind of leads to this. I wouldn't even call it a song. It's just like a ringtone.
Bro, this
But
this would be a really good ringtone. Like if I heard someone had this ringtone, I would be like, "Yo, you want to be my friend?"
honestly, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty dope. It's just like about someone wanting to get with the queen. I don't even know, bro.
Yeah.
It's just a
I feel
vibe.
like I feel like Her Majesty, I don't know the culture of 1960s Britain like at all, but I feel like it could be like it's like a way of like saying like, "Oh, this girl is like so like I don't know, like good looking or high up in status or just so well carried that I'm going to call her Majesty," and I could feel like it'd be like a drunk dude at a bar being like, "Oh yeah, Her Majesty over there," or something like that. I don't know,
That's
but
a good take.
yeah, that's my personal take because like I low key don't feel like it would actually be about the Queen because I don't know that feels very out of place
Yeah,
in that
especially how
culture.
high revered the queen is. Like just throwing her name around like that, it didn't seem right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just don't feel like someone would do that. So like that's my take on it. I really like this little closer. It's just got some really nice simple guitar and it's just like yeah, it's just nice closer to the album. And overall, very solid album. I can understand why a lot of people have this as their favorite Beatles album. There's like 3 or 4 albums that people generally put up at the top, but this is one that I've seen a lot. It's probably my favorite. I've been listening to the White Album a lot recently, so that might be taking over. But yeah, this is just an overall a super solid album, and it shows what pop music can be, and then it doesn't have to just be super duper simple stuff, but it can be super artistic and over the top and super like I don't know, at times pretentious. And I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, you know, the Beatles was always something that I didn't really listen to a lot except for the really popular stuff. but I always meant to. I would be like, "Oh, I should check out the Beatles." Da da da. And then, but like actually sitting down and listening to their stuff is like, yep, I see why they're so big. You know, because they the way they carry out musical ideas is just great.
Yeah. Overall, this album gets a three Paul McCartney left-handed basses out of 3.
Yeah, it's a Ringo star out of 10.
It gets a Ringo star out of 10. I wonder if a Ringo star is a gold star.
I don't
Would you
know,
say so?
bro.
Because like
I'd say so.
I'd say so too, or maybe a Ringo star would be a blue star for the sea that he is under at the Octopus's garden.
Bro, bars?
Bars, perhaps. But yes,
Perhaps.
thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the podcast. Uh, Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're on the YouTube. If you're on Anchor or Spotify, I don't know, just do
Follow that
whatever.
Insta, you know.
Follow
We're
that Insta.
we're
Be
approaching the
sure
end
to
of the
leave
season.
yeah, boy. At the end of the season, that's gonna be in. We got 2 more albums to go after this one, and then we're gonna do a big wrap up episode, and that's gonna be sick. And yeah, just enjoy your day. Tell us what you thought of the album in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on what we said and just the album as a whole. And if you think that this is the worst Beatles album of all time, I'd love to hear why you think that. But yeah, thank you for listening.
But yo. What
Yo,
plants do you think an octopus growing in their garden though?
yo, that is an excellent question. I'd probably say I don't know. I feel like an octopus would probably grow like cantaloupes. I don't know why. Cantaloupes specifically.
Cantaloupe. That's tough. We're gonna go with that. Can't an octopus go it's the end of that thought.
Yeah. All right.
Uh,
Bye, everyone. Have a good